guys, and welcome back to Dragonfist Martial Arts. Today we're going to talk a little bit about history. We're going to talk a little bit about where we've come from and where we are today. Now, the most important thing you take away from this video is that this is my interpretation of history. Right now, I'm in the process of writing my thesis, so I might come back 2 years, maybe 3 years from now, and give you a fresh new version of this. But as far as from how I've been raised and how I've experienced things, this is my best understanding of what's going on as far as my father, Cheng Mu Quan, and Dae Woong Chung Taekwondo. So it all started way back with an organization called Cheng Mu Quan. Now there's a lot even behind just that organization, but we're just going to start with the name Cheng Mu Quan. Cheng Mu Quan is the epitome of what Taekwondo is supposed to be. It is founded and created by people who wanted martial arts to be one united method of self-defense, and they wanted to be a final finish in confrontation. Someone confronts you, and it's taken care of. It's done. Period. No argument. Now that organization had many students. That Cheng Mu Quan style was taught throughout the entire world. And there's been people who have held close to the original ethics and style of it, and there have been people like me who have taken essences from it and passed it on in different ways. Now, there are two students you need to know about who did something very similar to that, who took the style, turned it a little bit, and then put it back out for people to be able to experience in a fresh and different way. The first person you need to know is Dae Woong Chung. Dae Woong Chung, Grandmaster Chung, is my Grandmaster. He's the Grandmaster that I learn from. He's the one that I follow. And that's not to say that I don't respect other Grandmasters out there, but he is the one that I have experienced in the best way and in the most full way. And he came here to America after learning Cheng Mu Quan style, remastered it, and taught it. And one of the people that he taught it to was Master Eugene G. Han. Does the last name sound familiar? It should, because my name is James Han, Eugene G. Han. Same last name. Eugene G. Han, Master Han, was my father. He was my teacher, and he was a student of Dae Woong Chung. And he learned from Dae Woong Chung over a long period of time. And when he finally came from Dae Woong Chung and became an instructor on his own, he was a third-degree black belt. Now, here's where the story diverts. Like I said, just a brief history. We have Cheng Mu Quan, Dae Woong Chung, Master Eugene G. Han. Master Eugene G. Han then taught other students, one of which was myself, and my sister Kirsten Han, and my wife Raylene Han. A lot of Hans in this picture. But the point is, he taught a lot of students, but he taught a different style to those students. Here's the part you need to pay attention to. Martial arts, I've already explained the intention to you in a past video, which will be linked. The intent of martial arts is ultimately self-betterment, right? So people get caught up on, oh, you diverted from this style? Oh, you changed this style? Well, hold up. Take a minute. Taekwondo, Kung Fu, Karate. These are all different styles, right? These are all remixes of the same principle. Self-betterment, self-protection. So my dad came off from learning Dae Woong Chung, and he started teaching at America's Youth Outreach Program, which is where he ended up teaching until the end of his life. He didn't divert. He didn't leave or become less of a martial artist, a great martial artist, but he taught in a style that was a little different. I just want you guys to understand that, because if you look at what he taught, it's very similar to Dae Woong Chung, but it's a little bit different. And a lot of people get lost on what that means. So I just want you guys to know it means nothing. It just means different set of circumstances, different type of clientele, different type of people, so different type of teaching. Taekwondo started with Chang Mu Kwan being the greatest of the greats. Then they passed it on to Dae Woong Chung. Then we have Master Eugene Ji Han, who is our direct instructor for myself, for my wife, for my sister, for all the founders of Dragon Fist Martial Arts. That's who we look up to. Okay, so Master Eugene Ji Han started teaching children. He started simplifying the style of even Dae Woong Chung. So he simplified the simplified, if that makes sense. Now there's some differences I've already explained, but basically he simplified it. And when he simplified it, he made it easier for kids to be able to come to class, learn Taekwondo, and go home knowing something from every class. That's what we want to do as well. Now, it's not to say that you can't go to one of Chung's Taekwondo studios today and learn something and come home, but the style is different. So it's sometimes a little harder to learn things than it would be with my dad, because my dad would come to class, everybody line up, everybody lines up. Start going through the stretches. Great. Then we get to the actual class. And my dad would try and take the time out of each class, because he's working with kids, to be able to correct things, to be able to work one-on-one with things while the entire class is going on. Now at a Chung studio, it's a little bit different. Not worse, just different. When you come to class, you do your class. And if corrections need to be made, they will be made. But they don't always take the time out to correct every single issue. And that's because you're coming there, you're paying a lot of money, you're taking up time, you have a certain amount of time. Your time is limited, your money is important. So the idea is you come here, you get your workout, you learn something, you go home. Good. Okay? Well, with kids, you can't always do that. And especially with America's Youth Outreach Program, which was $5 to $10 a class. You come to class, money isn't the issue. You're not paying a whole lot of money to get this bang out of your buck. You come to class, you're paying your money, and you're coming to become a better person and learn how to specifically defend yourself. Okay? It's not an art. America's Youth Outreach Program did not teach an art form as Chung's Taekwondo or Chang Mu Kwan. AYOP, America's Youth Outreach, AYOP, taught self-defense, purely. And they also taught, tournament-style martial arts rather than practical martial arts. And it's not to say that front kick is different, because you can still use front kick that you'd use at a tournament to be able to still defend yourself. So my dad taught there, and when somebody would have a problem during class, he would stop for that student. And he had instructors, which is another big difference. He had a lot of instructors who would keep the class rolling. So while the class is rolling, he would stop and he'd work on someone's feet or someone's hands, or you need to focus your head this way, turn your shoulders this way. He would change things. So, not worse, just different, right? Just a different breakdown. But I liked that breakdown, and I was raised in that style. So we got a taste of what Dae Woong Chung was like, and I've trained a little bit with Dae Woong Chung, and I'll be going back next year to continue training with Dae Woong Chung. But the one thing I like the most about America's Youth Outreach Program, and probably the only thing I really like about it, is the fact that it took the time. And it was very personal, very centered on the individual student, which is something that a lot of students don't do, and I've already explained why. So that being my favorite thing, and my dad being the man who was very personal, very, if you have a problem, let's fix it, very direct. When my dad passed away, and I promised him I'd get my black belt and continue his legacy, that meant that I had to figure out what part of his legacy to carry on. I ended up deciding that I wanted to have the same kind of style as Dae Woong Chung. I wanted people to come to class so they could learn how to end a fight. Somebody confronts you, done. Period. End of story. End of conflict. Right? But at the same time, I didn't want people to come to class and have someone going, here's what we're doing. Let's do this. All right, correct this. All right, here's what I'm being so boom, 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 that the personal part of the person wasn't taken care of. I wanted to make sure that not only were people able to strike the way they needed to, not only able to withdraw the way they needed to, but also able to process the way they needed to. And that comes with maturity. Because you go to another studio, any studio, Chung's included. You go there, and you go there with the right mentality, you go through the class the way they do it, you'll get the maturity, and from the maturity, you'll develop the personal growth and the personal understanding. Okay, they teach the same type of thing. It's all martial arts. But they teach it differently. Okay, so I took the style from Chung's, from Chain Mu Kwan, as far as, okay, here's what we do. Bam, bam, bam. Same hit. Hands and feet are all going to kick and punch the same way, okay? But I want to take that, the striking and the moving away and the self-defense, and I wanted to make sure that there was a different focus. Because for me, when I had a problem at home, my dad would come back to my room, sit me down, and have a conversation. If I was being a little turd in class, he would take the time to correct that attitude. If someone in class was having a problem, a personal problem, he'd take the time to talk with them. You can't always do that because you have a lot of students, but he had a lot of students, and he still was able to take the time to make sure that was taken care of. Now, part of that was he had all the instructors, but at the same time, I had to look at this and decide, okay, I'm one instructor. And when we started this, I had my friend as a secondary instructor, and we just recruited a karate instructor, which we have to now teach new things to and work with to get him on board with our style. I have other instructors, but I'm really doing this right now by myself. At the time I'm filming this, it's just me being a head instructor, making sure everybody's getting done what they need to do and getting their time's worth. But does that mean teach self-defense and that's it? Or does that mean that we still try and take that extra step to be personal? It's a hard choice, and it was a hard choice. But you know what? At the end of the day, I wanted people to come to class and feel like they were being taught by my dad. And that meant sacrifice. We had to sacrifice the streamlined, boom, get the class done, boom, teach this. And we had to focus on self-improvement first. That means that even during our first semester, which we just finished, we lost the same kind of quality as far as martial arts. And I will be the first to say we're not even close to Chain Mu Kwan or Chung's Taekwondo. Even with our black belt level, we're not close to them because we don't teach the same efficient way that they do. But, here's the but. During our first semester, we've had people with knees going out. We've had people dealing with depression. We've had people dealing with body issues. And already, in one semester, there's been a significant improvement in those people. Personally. And that's not bragging. That's just saying the difference. So we've had Chain Mu Kwan, military style. We've had Chung, military plus fitness plus so much more. And then we've had Master Han, self-defense. Purely self-defense on a personal level. Then we've had us, and we're just personal. And self-defense comes second. And what that means is we still teach self-defense. We'll still teach you how to do what you need to do to get home safely every day. But, first and foremost, you need to be able to face life and death with the maturity and strength of a black belt, even if you aren't wearing one. So that's kind of our history. There's a lot more onto that. Maybe in the future, I'll come back and I'll rehash this with some more details once I've worked a little more on my thesis. But from my basic understanding and from what I've seen so far, that is the basic breakdown of who started it, Chain Mu Kwan, who learned and remastered it, Daewoo Chung, Master Eugene Han. Where we are today with me, I really just want to help people learn self-betterment and teach them the art of basic self-defense. I hope this video will make sense. I hope this video explains what our intentions are, where we come from, and where we're going. I'm sure a lot will change because once the classes get bigger, there's going to be new perspectives, new things that we have to figure out. But for now, I'm James Han, and I'll see you on the next one.